Yo, welcome back to another episode of Timmy Mon Duel Links. Today we have another Versus Series episode today, and it's gonna be Amazons versus Sylvans. Before we get into it, I want to give a huge shout out to my sponsors, YGOsingles.com. If you play the TCG, make sure you check them out. They've got really good prices on all of the latest cards, and if you use the discount code TimmyMon, it directly helps me out to continue to do what I love to do. That's bring you guys YouTube content. Now I just want to get straight into the video because last video was a bit too long, but I had a lot of positive feedback, and thank you guys so much. If you have any other suggestions or feedback for me, please leave it down in the comments below. So Amazons versus Sylvans. This is another notoriously bad matchup for Amazons, but if you know how to play against Sylvans, then it's less daunting. So the biggest problem, okay, let's have a look at a typical Sylvan deck list. This is what a typical Sylvan deck list may look like. Most Sylvan players will play 3 mushrooms, 3 rose lovers, 2, 3, 3, and some sort of spell and traps. Other more popular or other spell and traps that they could use could be Cosmic Cyclone, Dark Wheel Lightning, and even Ultimate Providence with different ratios. But this is a pretty solid standard build that you might come across, or you probably have come across on the ladder. And one of the biggest problems for Amazons versus this deck is the Mushroom, because it has 2000 defense. And a lot of Amazon players are scared to attack into face down monsters, or they attack into it without a proper calculation of what are the chances of the opponent hitting what they need. So straight away, if my opponent sets a monster, most of the time I'm willing to just attack, even if it is a mushroom, because the chance of him hitting another mushroom in the top 5 is only about 5 out of 16, so it should be less than 30%, should be about 30% with a 20 card deck. So hold on, let me get a calculator. So to mill 5 out of 16 cards, it's 31%. So them hitting another mushroom is only 31%, and them hitting 2 is much lower. And when and if we take notice of our opponent's skill, if they are not playing Grit, then they're most likely playing Restart. So if they do not restart and they set a monster, then you can rate that monster as a higher chance to be a mushroom, and if they do restart, maybe that's a lower chance that it will be a mushroom. So even half the time if it's a mushroom, you should attack, because the other half of the time it's going to be a rose lover. So either or, it's usually right to just attack. Something an expert level Sylvan player might do is they will take notice the order that you set your cards in. The order that you set your cards in means that they're able to predict what cards are already set down and what cards are, that you will be setting down. So as the Amazon player, let's have a look at our deck again. Remember, this is just a standard deck that we're playing. When we set our cards, we want to try not to set our cards by themselves. So if we can set 2 at a time, then after we activate one, we can activate the other, and then we can set another pair of cards. So we want to try to avoid setting cards 1 at a time, because it's really easy for our opponent to know what to hit. Whereas if we're setting pairs at a time, then when they hit their cards, it's always a 50-50. So what we want to try to do is increase our percentage of them getting unlucky, or there's a string of percentages. So they have to hit a mushroom, and then after they hit mushroom, they have to hit the 50-50, or else they might be just that far behind. Typical Amazon decks don't really play cards like Wall of D to protect you, so the Sylvan player is able to attack quite freely into your monsters. So we have to watch out with our Amazon Queen for the right timing to bring her out. Most of the time you want to use her as a utility monster. Her 2400 attack when brought out with Onslaught, brings her up to 2900, is able to kill over a Hermitry without needing to use Chalice or enemy controller. Our Amazon Queen is quite useful to keep in our deck. Unlike against spellbooks, our enemy controllers are very useful in this matchup. It's our only defensive card that works on their Rose Lovered monsters. So their Rose Lover protects them from the Treacherous Chaperone and also the Onslaught. Forbidden Chalice is our most useful offensive tool, which can also be used defensively. So if we can get an early Forbidden Chalice with a Princess, we can go quite aggressively against any defensive play. Let's get into some replays and I'll talk about what is going through my mind as I'm playing the game. I want to give a huge shout out to Shiny Sophion. She was willing to play with me for these games, so we can get the footage for you. If you want to play against me or Shiny or any other of my team members, feel free to join our Discord down below. We're always online, so if you ever want to practice against us, see if we're there and maybe we can give you a game. So let's play this out slowly. Okay, let's resolve my search. So here, a lot of people, they would opt to just summon the tiger straight away. I opt not to because I want to play around cards like Treacherous Chaperone. There's no urgency for me to summon the baby tiger because I can always summon it with Onslaught in their turn or in my turn. So here there is no urgency. So let's continue. I make another mistake setting 3 cards. I mentioned earlier, you know, I could probably get away with just setting 1 Treacherous and 1 Onslaught. And the second Onslaught, maybe I could wait for another card to set as a pair. Another positive of setting in a pair is if one of my Onslaughts is dealt with, the chance of me having another Onslaught is lower without searching it. So yeah, here we go for an aggressive play. We ditch the tiger that was in our hand, and we summon the queen, queen summons the tiger. And so this is a useful way to use the princess's effect to just swarm the board. And here, because I have a Treacherous Chaperone set, I do that first, and then in the battle step still, I activate the Treacherous Chaperone to destroy the set. So half the time it's going to be a mushroom, half the time it's going to be a Rose Lover. So either way, I think I'm happy to take the gamble there. Any damage that we can do here is good because it lowers their grit the next turn. So our opponent hit the mushroom, hits an Onslaught. So us setting the double Onslaught worked out good for us, but yeah. So here I make a mistake. I should have activated this first, or activated it in the battle step, but I ended up not activating it and I just took the damage for no reason. So I just have to risk dying this turn. We all make mistakes sometimes. Here, because my opponent has used has no Rose Lover in the graveyard, and has already used the normal summon, I'm happy to tribute take. I tribute take using the princess just in case he's able to summon monsters and or econ take my queen and just excuse me, deal a lot of damage to my face up attack position princess. Princess in that position is the most useless. Here we're fine because we have so many ways to win. This is a threat to win, this crashing and this summoning is another threat to win. And there's no way for her to defend against both of these threats. Okay. Let's head over to the next video. And we open up with another good hand. We use princess again. So I make another problem here. I'm able to just get away with setting 1 Onslaught. I keep setting 2. Against this matchup, you don't want to set 2. At least that's how I feel. I think the better play would just be set 1, and using the other one to set in a pair so she wouldn't know which one is which. Yeah. Hit 50-50. It's going to be Rose Lover or the other one. fortunately it's the Rose Lover this time, and she mills another Rose Lover, so she can't use both. So here we econ take because we don't want her to get more value from the Hermitry. And if we didn't econ take there, we'll take a lot of damage. And here's something something interesting that I do, which maybe not a lot of other people do. Still in the battle phase, I'll summon my princess. This is because I have a chance to draw another princess, so I could still use the effect. And if and it also thins my deck by 1 card, so I can also have a higher chance to not draw into another Amazon spell or trap. And also, I'm able to use my tiger this turn, and potentially use the tiger again in my turn. So this is something not a lot of people will do, but it's good to do. So we'll attack. So we're able to use our tiger again, and we're able to trade up monster for free. But unfortunately we drew another Amazon trap. We wish there was any other defensive trap or even another monster. So we're using the tiger as a wall. And she plays quite well here. So because this onslaught was set, I wasn't able to set an appear. So my willpower, she knew that this card was the willpower because I searched and set it. And because of that, I have no other way to win. So I could have had a 50-50 chance to not lose that game and potentially win that game if I had not set the other onslaught. I could have held it and set it together with the willpower. That would be a better way for me to play this game out. So as we're playing, we have to remember to check the graveyard, to check how many mushrooms, how many leaves that they've used. So we set in pairs. Of course, we'll keep the chalice in our hand. We're gonna attack for the 50-50, but it's gonna be more than it's gonna be good either way for us because we have the chalice. So let's see what actually happens. That she has the mushroom, but it's fine, we have the chalice for it. And her hand looks not that good. We're able to do a little bit of damage here. We're just thinning our deck. We're trying to thin our deck so our card value of the card that comes from the top will be better. What does that mean? If we thin our deck, we thin through all of these janky low attack monsters, and on the top will just be better monsters. So here our opponent is finally able to resolve her mushroom. She hits a leaf, Hermitry, Treacherous, Econ, and Econ. So it was not too good of a mill for her, but it wasn't too bad either. She pops the most valuable card, and it's the Sylvans. We keep the Amazon Queen in hand again because she could have an Econ to switch our tiger into attack mode and do a lot of damage by just attacking into this. And so she has it was easy for her to summon the 3 monsters, and if I had the queen out, then she could have easily dealt with my not easily, I had Treacherous, but anyway. Here I decided to summon the queen because I want to protect the princess. Because I protect the princess, I'm able to, this will go down to 24, but it will crash, and I have lethal on board. So this is a game over for her. And I'm able to tag out the tiger for another monster, but oh no, she has grit! And very fortunately for her, she top decks the Hermitry, And the problem with, that we're facing here is we can't chalice the monster because we have to chalice our monster to get out of the 1200 range. So if we chalice our monster, we'll go up to 16, so we'll be on 1100. So we just have to hope that she doesn't draw a monster, because she can just discard for carrot, and she drew a monster, and yeah, we lost. So that was quite unfortunate, and we saw the weakness of Queen. These replays, they always go way faster than the game actually went, so it's okay to play slow. Yeah, it's totally fine to play slow. We start off with over 120 minutes. We're able to play as slow as we want, at least. Not too slow. We don't want to lose on time, but we don't want to play so quick. We don't want to play so quick that we just make a lot of slight errors, because in the KC Cup or in the World Championship qualifiers, there's no room for slight errors. Every slight error is going to cost you 1,000 points or 5,000 points, 10,000 points. So it's better to play perfectly and play slow than to play fast with a lot of mistakes. So we can't open good all the time. We open kind of bad this time, but we don't want to just surrender because we drew bad. We ain't like that, so we just have to play it out. So what happened here? Our opponent has Rose Lover, tributed the Guardian, because we can't afford to lose our whole board to a Guardian. We know that she has 3 Hermetries and 3 she has 3 mushrooms and 3 leaves in the deck. So that mill would have quite barely, is that a word, wrecked us. So we can't afford to let her do that, so we have to just negate it. She has another follow-up, and we have to just econ take that, because again, we can't let her get the value. Unfortunately, we have the treacherous trap hole to out it. So next turn, if we're able to draw an Amazon princess or a trap, our position might be playable. We have a monster. We're just gonna play and see what happens. Here, I feel like I'm so far behind that I just want to put her on a 2-turn clock, because it seems like she doesn't have enough to get going. So if she draws something like a Rose Lover or something like a Econ, she doesn't have a lot to do to progress her board state. And she drew a carrot, so good. So she bricked, and she drew a carrot. Fortunately for us, we were able to tribute our tiger. This gives us a way to deal with the carrot, and gives us also a small wall, and we also have another monster. So actually, our position is looking better and better. So she mills 2 Rose Lovers. This is not good for us. She goes for the attack, and maybe she forgot about the Amazon Queen's effect, and she wanted to go for game by attacking. Econ take, and this is game. So yeah, so she does it anyway, and she just surrenders. So sometimes you open bad, but you just play it out. Play the best that you can do. You want to put as many chances to win as you can, instead of just surrendering, because you get 0 points for surrendering, but you have maybe a 30% chance to win a bad hand if you just play it out. Okay, this is our 5th and final replay for today. I can't remember what happened in this game, but you can watch it with me. Okay, what's going through my mind as I play this? Grits. So we always hard reset for the princess. Fortunately, here quite a decent hand. This hand would be a hand that I'll be happy with if I'm playing around with this. She goes for an aggressive play, and this is why we don't summon our tigers. Because of this, I guess like we could have summoned our tiger anyway, but if we had summoned our tiger, then she wouldn't have gone for this more aggressive play. So it doesn't look good for us, but she has a 50-50 here. So this is the point about setting in pairs. Instead of setting 3 or 1 at a time. So she has a 50-50 to, if she hits the econ, then I'm alive, and she does hit the econ. And we want to, so depending on which way she attacked, if she had attacked with the princess, we would let the attack go through and then summon the tiger on the carrot's attack. But since she attacked the carrot first, we just summon it on the carrot attack. Yeah. So at this point, our position is so good that yeah, we don't really need anything else. And what we do is we actually summon the sage to reduce the effectiveness of grit. And again, we don't summon the prince. We don't summon the queen because that would be detrimental for us, just in case. And fortunately, we drew the chalice, but I don't think it would have mattered too much, because she would have to have quite a godly milling multiple what do you call it? Multiple leaves to survive. So yeah, that's those are some games against Sylvans. Sylvans aren't as terrible or as auto lose as people think. If you're able to play it slowly, keep track of how many cards they have left, and also they don't Sylvan players, they can't open with mushroom every single time, and even if they do, count the percentages of them hitting something that would ruin your board. So you know, if you can't do the math in your head, you'll be at a computer or you'll have access to a calculator. You just use your calculator to figure out the percentages. You know, these kind of things are very helpful for you to know. And this isn't just for Sylvans, Amazons. No matter what deck you're playing, you also want to keep track of the same thing. So if you're playing heroes, you still want to keep track of how many effects left that they have, what are the chances, if they've excavated 3, or how many they've put at the bottom of the deck. So you count the card effectiveness, if that makes sense. So if they put, I don't know, 3 cards at the bottom in a 15 card deck, then they have a X in 12 chance to mill the card that they want, because the cards that they put at the bottom will be swollen traps, etc. So yeah, those are just some tips how to play against Sylvans. You know, it requires quite a lot of stat skills, but it's, if you can figure this out, it's not too difficult. It will help your game tremendously. Yeah, that's it for this video, and we hope to see you again in our next video. Maybe we'll try again with a different deck for our versus series. Post down in the comments below what matchup you want to see, how to beat other decks. So we'll catch you guys again later. See ya.